Now, there are not many tools or many products that's available, and we thought, one of the thing that most of the customers wanted to know is, right, I have data, I have the new S4 HANA coming in. Now, how do I know which process has an impact, and what is the level of impact that it has? That's what business transformation does, and it is more industry specific. If you're an automotive industry or oil and gas, chemical, petrochemical, then the universe is based in terms of the industry specific solutions, the templates that we have, and then read the data that you have and give a percentage increase in terms of how your process gets transformed, and the number of users whose experience will also get transformed. So we provide that information, and then if you really look at it, if you go here in terms of the catalog view, you will be able to see across the different lines of business. We would have segregated your existing data, provided in terms of the process groups that you have, the number of scope items that is present currently in your existing ECC system, and the process gaps that is there in terms of process variants and steps, right? So that is the kind of scan that we do. And we also kind of attach all the custom objects to these processes which are being used. And that gives you a complete information. If you drill it down here, and if you go to pick up one of the account and financial closure, it talks about the high relevancy in terms of the LOB, the process groups. If you understand the global scope items that SAP talks in terms of how a process has been structured in the SAP or the new way of doing things, you might see a model company and then a global scope item. So this is how it is done. And then it also talks about the process step users who are involved in terms of doing the daily transactions, right? So what do you do with this? It allows you to see if the process that was configured earlier, if it is quite efficient or not, if it is meeting the KPIs for a company or not, and if you have to include any new process so that you can drive efficiency and save on dollars. That's the kind of report that this one provides in terms of going at the transaction level. It also helps you to talk about the Fiori applications that can be recommended for an end customer. That is also possible, and the roles impacted if you have the relevant roles. And it also gives a process relevancy for that particular organization in terms of for you to take a look at it, and if you want, and if there are gaps where it has not been configured and you're doing it, maybe you're doing it one way, but if you do it slightly different, that's the digital twin builder that we have as part of Digital Minds, which I'll show it in the upcoming webinars, where you can see what kind of changes that you can bring in terms of mapping your process, right? So I'll go to the process view and probably pick on one of the things and see how it shows or what it shows. So if you look at the process, again, we have, it launches a complete process map of how things should have been configured, and also talks about the process owner that's attached to a particular process, right? So that's the kind of information that it provides. Now, this is again used in terms of testing the data when you move from ECC to S4 HANA. It also helps you in terms of coming up with a set of data from the existing system. You don't have to really key in, just handled as part of the digital labs. And then it also talks about so you can go ahead and keep drilling it down to different processes. It gives the business stakeholders and how a particular process is mapped in the existing system. And if there are gaps, it gets highlighted here as part of this process maps. And then the best part is it also provides you the how your current process is, because SAP has done quite a lot in terms of user experience. When I spoke about the Walkman, it is still user-centric. When I started during the webinar, it is still user-centric, right? So whatever we do at the application layer, at the data layer, at the interface layer, it still has to reach out to the end customer. So it also talks about the recommended Fiori apps and the users that might get impacted, or the way that they have been using the T code and how they have to be trained is something that is automated for you. And that's what the product does. And we can keep adding more in terms of the KPIs for a particular process and how those KPIs are measured. For example, if you take the DSO days, and if you have like 30 days, and what is the industry standard and how you're performing, all that is taken during the run mode, and that's part of the digital mines, which is completely process mining that we have, right? So this is something that I believe, one of the things that we wanted to do is simplify the way customers and partners can move, and augment the consultants with more data in a more readable way. That will help the SAP ecosystem to move faster, to move forward in a better way.